Hey everybody, Mike Cooper here. Hope you're doing incredibly well. Got something great to share with you here today. Excuse me. We're going to talk about three big mistakes that business owners make, three things that you can do to prevent it or turn it around if you're already there, and why this time of year is really the time of year to make sure that you're on track with these. Before we get rolling, a couple things I want to let you know. I have a one-take rule. It's part of being a business coach. A B plus now is better than an A plus later. So when I record things, it's one take. You got to be okay with that. You're going to get some real pearls of wisdom here. Don't judge me on my video. Judge the outcomes. The other thing is notice that I have another little camera over here. I'm going to drag it up here. We're going to bounce back and forth between these two a little bit. So I'm going to pause the video here and there just so I can make the adjustment. We want to make that one a little bit bigger sometimes and make this one a little bit bigger sometimes. So that's how we're going to roll. You're going to get some great value today. Stay tuned. Okay, now the really clever folks are going to notice that that sheet is now blank. Anyway, we're going to get started. I want to give you a little perspective. Look, what I'm going to share with you today is not theory. I've owned three businesses. I've coached business owners for a couple of decades, including more now than ever. So this is recent, current, actionable data. Nothing outdated here. So listen up. It's good information. And let's get rolling. So look, here's the deal. First of all, I pause the video before I write, because if you saw my writing when I didn't pause, you wouldn't be able to read it. So anyway, the first mistake that business owners make is working in their business too much and not on their business as much as they should. Now, you've probably heard that before, but stop the press for a minute, because I want to give you a detail. I'm not talking about things get busy so you pitch in and help. What I'm talking about is a business owner who makes the decision that instead of hiring another tech, they're going to do the tech work to save money to the tune of 60 to 80% of their time. I'm talking about the business owner who, instead of hiring someone to enter their QuickBooks data and keep on top of that, they do it themselves. Now, when you're a brand new business and it's just you, that probably makes sense. But as soon as you get to be where you're profitable and you figured out marketing and you're starting to grow, that type of stuff doesn't make sense anymore. And if you want to do the math with me on any of this, just reach out to me. I'll be more than happy. I'm not going to try and sell you anything. I'll be more than happy to share that with you. Let me back up a minute. There's nothing to buy here today, so you're not going to have three mistakes, three solutions, and just buy this. That's not where we're headed today. So let's. I think we hit the working in the business instead of on the business. Does that make sense? So let's pause. I'm going to pause the camera here for just a second, and I'm going to write something additional for you. You know, before we move on to number two, I got to hit number one a little bit harder. Here's the problem. Business owner saves $15 an hour by not hiring a receptionist or bookkeeper or what have you, and does the work himself. But then he neglects to build his business. Let's say he's got a $500,000 a year business. That business needs to generate about $200 per hour in new revenue. If that business owner was spending that same 20 hours a week, generating $200 an hour, $150 an hour, that can be $1,500 to $2,000, depending on how you crank the math, of opportunity costs just to save $15 an hour. So that's what I'm talking about. That's the cost. That's why it's a mistake. Does that make sense? So we're going to move on to number two now. And again, I spared you my worst handwriting, and this is in fact my better handwriting. So business owners get distracted, and I put here big three. Here's what's important here. Every business owner needs to know the three most important outcomes that they need to have happen this year. And they need to not just know them sort of clearly, they got to be written down. And if they're not written down and something that you reference often, I'm going to challenge you, man. They're probably not really a big three. They're a kind of three, and that's part of the challenge. So business owners One of the biggest mistakes that business owners make, the second biggest mistake, is they get distracted from their big three. Now, if you don't know your big three, that's where you got to start, because of course you're going to get distracted from your big three if you don't have a big three. So what's a big three? Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but the big three are the three biggest outcomes that will most move your business forward in the next 12 months. I'll talk about what that looks like when we provide you with some examples in just a minute. What is an example of distraction? So business owner gets an amazing offer from a marketing representative. They're offering 50% off on doing new logos. Business owner's like, yeah, I've been thinking about getting new logos for my business, says yes, doesn't think about the time that it's going to take him and his team to redo apparel, business cards, website, possibly customer messaging, the whole 9 yards. It was helpful, but it wasn't in the top three. And because of taking the eye off the ball, missed revenue, longer hours, etc. Not a good idea. Another example is software changes. I can't tell you how many times this happens. It could be a number of different things, but you can't get distracted from your big three. All right, let's move on. And remember, I'm going to come back and I'm going to hit all of these with the what you do about it. And none of these are buy stuff, okay? I promise you, you're not going to have to buy anything. So far we've talked about two mistakes that quite frankly, they can cost you your year. 67% of all businesses fail in the first 10 years. And the ones who succeed by a margin of 3-1 do this, they avoid this third mistake. So the third mistake that business owners make is going it alone versus having a mentor and just continuing their education. This is the biggie, folks. As a business coach, I see this all the time. And I'm going to talk to you about how you can find people that won't cost you anything, that can help you not have to go it alone. But I just want to underscore, folks, these are three things that I see this time of year. Business owner starts off very focused, things get busy, and they start making quick decisions. They start working that aren't their big three. They start working in their business a little bit more, don't pay attention to their CEO, business owner job, and then they go it alone with decisions on a weekly and monthly basis that they really ought to have someone else helping them with or have some experience behind. And I'm telling you, in just a few little decisions, they blow it. They can blow their year. Sometimes they can sink their company. That's not going to be you. We're going to talk about specific things that you can do here in just a minute. I'm going to pause my camera again so you don't have to watch my wonderful chicken scratch. Okay, let's talk simple actions. I have my multicolored pen. You're going to have to watch me write this time. Sorry. Okay, working in your business versus on your business. How do you fix that? Well, like I said before, you have got to know your big three. And what do I mean by big three? We mean they will have the highest impact on your, let's say, personal and business goals. Okay? That's kind of common sense. I get that. But in addition to that, you've also got to know, so this is a 3x3. You've got to know the big three highest value activities, HVA, that will best help you accomplish your three biggest impacts on your business. Does that make sense? So an example would be the three biggest things that you can do, or three biggest things you want to see in your business. One, let's say you want to get 20% growth. The HVA for that might be that you spend 20 hours a week prospecting or going to networking events. Do you see how that works? So you have some goal that is an outcome for your business, and then what you as the business owner can do. Now, let me be clear. It's not just you. It might, these are things you got to manage, right? So it might not be that you need to do 20 hours of prospecting. Maybe you need to make sure your sales rep or your technician, whoever, but anyway, it's whatever are your three highest value activities. I call it your 3x3. You gotta have your 3x3 down, okay? Now here's the thing. If you know them, but you haven't written them down, then they're really not your 3x3. So you have to have these written down and someplace where you can access them easily and often. Okay. Second thing you got to do is you got to block. You got to go to your calendar, whatever you use, and you got to block whatever these highest value activities are. You've got to put them into your calendar. Now, there's a little bit of magic there, but that isn't all that you have to do, right? You can't just put it on your calendar and make it happen. Unfortunately, you're going to have a conversation with your employees. You're going to have to let them know what your big three are, if you haven't already, for the company this year. You're going to have to let them know what your highest value activities are to make that happen. And you're going to have to let them know what's in it for me, meaning what's in it for them if they help you stay focused on these three things, right? You got to talk about pay, opportunity, keeping the doors open, right? Fending off competition. A focused boss is a successful boss. An unfocused boss, people are worried about their job and thinking about leaving. I got to be honest with you. And then you have to have some type of leverage here to hold yourself accountable. You're also going to have to make some type of an announcement here. So I think that makes sense. Of course, you're going to have to announce, you're going to have to meet with your team so that they know what these things are. But you're going to have to deny yourself something if you don't do these in a given day or in a given week. And then you're going to have a reward when you do. I know this is simple stuff. Look, being a business owner isn't easy, and being successful in business is relatively simple. It isn't the smartest people. I got news for you. It isn't the highest IQ people who have the most successful businesses. It's the ones who block and tackle. And I've worked with dozens of business owners. I know. All right. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to focus on how do you stop getting distracted? Okay. So assuming you've already done this part, which is extremely important, you can't skip this. You now have to carry this with you. Talked about that, right? And at the end of every day, you're going to review this for 30 minutes. You're going to remind yourself what your priorities are, and you're going to remind yourself of what your highest value activities need to be for the next few days. Does that make sense? Then you're going to also do it. So you're going to do this 30 minutes in the PM and 30 minutes in the AM. All right. You might say, I don't have time. I'm already working all the time. Okay, great. I get that. You're never going to get out of the place that you're at, assuming you're not happy, unless you start putting your highest values and highest priorities first. So do this in the last 30 minutes of the day, or just 30 minutes when you don't have an interruption, in the first 30 minutes of the day. You may say, my employees never leave me alone during the day. Okay, fine. Change locations. Go to a Burger King. Go to a library. They're quiet. You got to do this. This is not complicated stuff. Don't make excuses. This is stuff you got to do as a leader if you want to be successful. So you're going to do this morning and evening, and you might even have to have a talk with your family about this. And you got to relate them back to what's in it for me as well. And then another great way that you can handle this is you can have a morning, that's what AM means, stand-up meeting. You are going to have to remind your team of this at least once a week, okay? At least once a week. You might have to have a weekly stand-up meeting where everybody goes around the horn. If you don't know what a stand-up meeting is, reach out to me and I'll talk to you what that is. It's a very short meeting that summarizes goals, objectives, wins, and losses, and it's a great thing. Next thing you're going to need to do is you've got to remind your team. You know what? I got ahead of myself, but I'm an honest guy. So I'm going to tell you that this goes over here. This is one of those ideas. I thought I was providing a little too much value in that area. Again, you've got to have that list with you. So this actually should have been broken into two, because these are two separate things. But you've got to have the review, and you've got to make sure that you've got your team on board, and they know what distractions look like. And you've got to build something of a firewall so that they know. You got to have this conversation. Remember when you had little kids and you said, look, you can't bother mom or dad unless you're burning, barfing, or bleeding. Did you ever do that? We did that as parents. You got to have that conversation with your team. You might also have 30-minute windows on your calendars like office hours to answer questions. So if you don't let your team know when they can get their questions answered, either at this morning huddle meeting, stand-up meeting, or the 30 minutes on your calendar that you've set aside for them, they're going to bug you anyway, and you're going to get distracted. All right, last thing. This is the biggest. Business owners push back the most on this. It's the easiest to do. It's also the one that has the 3-to-1 impact on your likelihood of success. 3, triple your chances of success by doing this. And this is going to cost you any money. You can pay money to do it, but look, you got to find 2 to 3 business owners who are successful, who you can start to spend some time with. And then you've got to find some type of an education program for continuing education. I've got them. They're free. A lot of them are. There's a ton of information out there because look, there's no apprenticeship school that you get to go through to learn everything you need to know to be a successful business owner before you open the doors and have all of those responsibilities. You can go to school to be an electrician, a plumber, an engineer, an attorney, but where do you go to school to learn to be a business owner? You don't. And people learn on the job and it kicks their butt and they end up making big mistakes because there's no one else giving them a second opinion who has experience. And sometimes it causes them to go out of business. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be successful, work fewer hours, make more money, and build a business that'll run without you. And this is the beginning of it. How do you find these people? Networking events. You can go to industry trade shows, or you can just send a letter to 2 or 3 of the most successful business owners in town. Tell them you'd like to meet them. They'll be flattered. I promise you, you're going to have a 50 to 75% success rate on the people you ask here. Just flatter them, tell them what you're trying to do. Business owners are lonely. They like to talk. Just don't make it a 3-hour meeting. And you're going to need to meet with them probably 2 times a month. Okay. We'll keep it simple. The education stuff, again, you have got to commit reading books, going to seminars. You have got to continue to commit to improve your CEO and business owner skills because learning it as you go is very dangerous. Okay. I'm going to take a quick break so I can get something else in front of you to write on. Okay, folks, we're in the home stretch here, and I've got something really valuable for you at the end if you want to take advantage of it. Okay, so I added one more thing here. This can be a Zoom meeting. It's better in person, I think, sometimes, but especially in the beginning, the first few meetings. But that way, nobody has to travel, and the barrier or the resistance, rather, for people attending is a lot lower. So let's recap this. So biggest mistake, working in your business instead of on it. You'll miss things. You'll stop doing your CEO job. It will cost you money. You will work more hours. It's going to be a big problem if you do it too often. Getting distracted. If you don't focus on the important stuff that you figured out over here, again, you're going to underperform. You're going to work too many hours, not make enough money, not to get to enjoy the blessing, the benefits of business ownership. And then third, business owners try to go it alone instead of finding other business owners. Now I'm going to tell you how you can find other business owners without going through all this in a minute. And then you got to get this continued education. And again, I have resources after resources after resources here. So hopefully you have found this part valuable. And if you have, that's my goal. Look, my passion is helping business owners work fewer hours, make more money, and enjoy the blessing of business ownership. I want you to build a business that can run without you so that you have a great asset that you can retire with. I also recognize that sometimes, someone sits through a seminar or a little talk like this and they figure out they need a little bit more help. And I get that. So I want to let you know a way that you can get in touch with me if you want to. So if you're getting this via Facebook, just send me a message and let's say accelerate. All right. So if you're on Facebook, you're just going to put in accelerate and I'm going to pause so I can write the other information. Okay. Again, sometimes people go through a talk like this and it doesn't all make sense, or you want some other information. I'll tell you what, I'm willing, if you'll reach out to me via Facebook. If that's how you're watching this, and just type in accelerate and tell me you're interested. Or if you're watching this on LinkedIn or my website or YouTube, just send me an email at mikecooper@actioncoach.com. I'll ask you a couple of questions just to make sure that this information is going to help you. And if so, look, I'll give you I'll be happy to spend 20 minutes with you, and we can just brainstorm and see if we can figure this out. So if you have any questions about any of this stuff, just send me a message, and I'll be happy to reach out to you and see if we can jump on a call or something. Well, that's it. Look, again, I hope you found this extremely valuable, and I will look forward to connecting with you soon. Have a great one.